Welcome to the Coaching Collective podcast. So today we have with us a very special guest. I'm going to introduce you to Yeufre from Revival Fitness, and he is located on the East Coast of the US, obviously a coach. He is the first person to ever have me as a guest on a podcast back in 2019. And I think we only just got to know each other through just talking through social media, didn't we?
Yeah, it was weird because I don't even know how I first followed you, because when I first got in the fitness industry, all I did was follow other trainers, other coaches. And over time, I unfollowed a lot of people because they were idiots, to be
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
And then I kept a small group of coaches and other trainers just to not only see what other knowledge, but how they did their training routines, how they did their lifestyle, how they prep for fat loss phases, mass phases, and things like that. And then your account and how you presented the information, I was like, okay, this is my guy. So it was just looking at your knowledge and then just connecting with your page, and that was it, straight up from there. And that was about more than 5 years ago.
Yeah, literally. We did the podcast, yeah, almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots has changed. But it's funny you say that actually, because a lot of the people that I was following around the time where we connected, a lot of them have dropped out of the industry.
100. I was about to
Yeah.
say that too.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
even some of the really couple of guys in particular, I'm not going to say their names, but they were really big and popular and successful, and now they're doing something completely different. And it's so
it's
fascinating.
interesting because I think COVID did forced a lot of the
Yeah.
not fake, but if you didn't really have a love for it, you really didn't have a love for coaching and helping people.
Mm.
COVID forced people out of the industry right away. So I
Yeah.
saw a lot of people, they either went into real estate, finance, or go for the other quick buck. Because unfortunately here, I don't know how it is over there. People use training as like a get quick, get rich quick, type of way.
Mm.
Because if someone has a larger following, all you need to do is post a generic copy and paste program to your
Mm.
Instagram. You got a good following, you charge $25, $30 a buck, and you get a good amount of money that way.
Mm.
Now the thing is,
Yeah.
yeah, during COVID, nobody was buying programs. So
Mm.
then that forced a lot of people to then look for a different avenue. Again, I don't know what happened over there, but that's what I
Very,
noticed with the
yeah.
coaches over here.
I almost feel like during COVID for people like us, well, obviously, yeah, like us, it was almost constructive towards getting people into the online space.
100%.
They,
Yep.
the, because it forced people who would otherwise not have tried it to try it. And then
Yep.
they realize, okay, this is actually not bad. Oh, like I actually have all the bases covered. Oh, I don't really need to see him. Obviously, there was exceptions I noticed where people actually realized they didn't like it. Um, but for me, yeah, I had clients that told me they'd never go online and then they were online.
Yeah, we were forced. We didn't have a
Yeah.
choice. But
Yeah.
again, my plan B was go back into teaching, because I
Mm.
got my undergrad in history, so I
Yeah.
would have had to find a way to get back into teaching. But when it hit me, when COVID started, I was like, hell no, there's no fucking way I'm going
Yeah.
back to teach middle school, high school. There was no way. So I forced myself to do virtual training. So it was still with my one-on-one client base, but
Yeah.
I would do virtual sessions, one-on-one on my iPhone. Awkward as hell. There were delays, whatever, but I learned and actually became a better trainer, because you learn how to not only describe movements, but really focus on little intricate things with people form wise, and how to explain. Because I usually, when I'm one-on-one, I could just adjust your arm position. I can move the weight a certain way for you. And that way the execution becomes different. But when you're over Zoom or when you're over FaceTime, it becomes a whole completely different thing. So that
Mm.
actually made me a better coach to spend at least, I think it was a solid year of doing virtual training.
So you had a long stint in lockdown over there.
Yeah, I mean, all the gyms were closed for, yeah, I think it was over a year. I mean, I still saw people in person. Like there was a phase where there were people that just got tired of doing
Hmm.
Zoom training, and we did sessions in the park. I'll go to Central Park here in Manhattan. I'll take my little box of dumbbells, battle ropes, stuff like that, and do training that way. And
Hmm.
then the ones that still wanted to do Zoom, I would do Zoom. And then we did the Zoom and FaceTime until until gyms open, which I forget now. Like everything's a blur in that time
Yeah,
period.
I agree. Everything.
Yeah, but I remember it was just like, all right, this is what I got to do. I'm gonna adapt, but I'm staying in this industry because this is where my passion is.
Mhm. I remember seeing you. Were you living in New York at the time?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, at the beginning of the pandemic, I moved to New Jersey, but I was still coming into Manhattan to do
Yeah.
training.
Because I just remember you having the little deadlift set up in like a little room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember
So
I thought that was like an apartment in the city, and I remember
no,
thinking,
that's yeah,
yeah,
that's when I moved.
yeah,
That's when I moved to New Jersey. Like it's hard to get anything like that in Manhattan. That's why I
yeah,
moved to New Jersey. It was just way more, so much more space. But
mhm,
I just I ordered the barbell from Rogue, couple
mhm,
plates, and that's where I did basically just deadlifts and front squats
yeah,
for months. Oh, and I bought some kettlebells, did some stuff like that. But there was no way I was going to go an extended period of time without working out because at this point I'm an addict. It's just it is what
yeah,
it is. So it was building that home gym setup like that, and it was, I mean, again, making it work, but understanding where your passion lies and then executing from there. That was my mindset the whole time.
mhm. Yeah. I remember the first day of lockdown, we scrambled to, because when we got put in lockdown, I don't know what it was like for you over there. It was very much like, this is temporary, just got to be like this for a few weeks. It was like that
Two
over
weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
there. So I remember we were really hesitating on getting equipment, but then I'm just like, nah, fuck it. Like for $1,000, I need something. Um,
Right,
and then, yeah, I was very grateful because you could not find stuff here. Like after the
man.
first fortnight, it was like you could not find it.
It was a struggle. It was literally I'm going into dark alleys trying to find a dumbbell set here,
Yeah.
barbell here, but everything was sold out for a while. And then it was to the point where we started back ordering maybe 6 months, waiting 6 months for certain equipment.
Mhm.
But the thing was that at that point, I didn't know when it was going to end. So I was like,
Mhm.
if I waited any longer, then it would have been a disaster. Like kettlebells, for some reason, kettlebells never sold out. So that
Mhm.
was the first thing I got, and that held me over for maybe 2 months. Then after that, the barbell came in and stuff like that. Now I have a whole gym in my basement from all
Yeah.
this stuff I was ordering over a long period of time.
Yeah. Mine was all at my parents' house. They made me sell it all, unfortunately.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like, get this shit out of here.
I think the only thing I kept were like the dumbbells. But
That's hilarious.
was the whole situation as bad over there as everyone made out here? Because apparently, like New York was like one of the epicenters, I guess.
I think at a certain point, people just got tired of it. Like
Yeah.
even the most, I guess, health conscious, scared person,
Mhm.
people just wanted to move on with their lives. The biggest thing is like New York is very nightlife and restaurant focused.
Mhm.
So once people started being able to go out to restaurants and have drinks and things like that, that's what they wanted to do. Once it was allowed, people pretty much put in their minds like, okay, let's get the vaccine, let's go out. And that's what it was. We just wanted to get back to normal. There wasn't no like people protesting that much, people being mad about what's really going on. People just wanted to move on with their lives. So
Yeah.
once gyms and things like that opened up, people pretty much went back to training right away. It was just everyone was just getting tired. People just wanted to go back to normal. It wasn't even like a slow build. It was almost it felt overnight. It was like, oh, we can go back to the gyms. Gyms were packed the next day. We were working out with masks. It was shitty,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it was like we were just happy to be getting close back to normal. Now at this point, I feel like everyone's back. People test positive for COVID, and they're like, whatever, I'm still going to work. It's like at this point, it's a cold now. So
Yeah. It's
I
like,
mean, it took 4 years, but I think we're fine. We're finally at that point where everything's get pretty much back to normal.
mhm. Yeah, because yeah, we were probably you were probably a little bit stricter than us, but it wasn't it was quite strict here as well.
Mm.
Yeah. So we sort of skipped over it, but yeah, tell us about yourself, where the
Oh
business.
yeah, we went straight into
Yeah.
the COVID.
Yeah,
The
we did. We did. It's interesting
COVID.
though, because nice to get perspective of the other side of the globe.
Of course, yeah, yeah. So quick background. I mean, I can start. Let me actually start why I started training people because it's hilarious. So
Mhm.
I was in college and I was in going for my undergrad degree, and I was working out, but not seriously. It was like you work out, lift weights, and then you go out to drink. So I wasn't really seeing that much progress.
those
I
days.
was just I had that skinny fat look. Like I had some muscle, but love handles hanging off the sides. And then I saw this Jack dude, and he was talking to one of my friends. He was like, "Yeah, I just started personal training, and I'm making $25 an hour." I thought that was the most money. Like that was insane. Like you're making $25 to train people. So I was like, okay, I can do this on the side while I go to college,
Mhm.
finish my degree, and then go into teaching. By 1 year into like working out and coaching, I already decided I didn't want to teach anymore, that this is what I wanted to do. My thing was during that time, I was broke as hell. Almost the only gym I had access to was the one in my college. Or you guys call it university? What is it? Is
University,
this
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
okay? In my that was about an hour and a half away in train. I didn't have a car, so I had to do a public transportation.
Mhm.
So I would have to go from where I lived in the Bronx to Queens. Even though it's New York, you can pretty much travel 2 hours and still be in the city. So I
Mhm.
was an hour and a half away from home, and I would have to go there. I would have to go there Saturdays, Sundays. But then when the semester ended, I didn't have a gym.
Mhm.
So but this was my new, like I really wanted to go through with this not only side career, because I was like, oh, what can I do with this? Like I didn't know my
Mhm.
full potential in the business, but I was like, okay, maybe I could even make a decent amount of money that can put me through college. Maybe this could be my thing after college, or maybe not. Maybe I have to go into teaching. I really didn't know. But during this time, I really just wanted to get my physique, because this was my thing. I thought I couldn't work out if I looked like shit. Yeah, I couldn't train people if I looked like shit.
Mhm.
So my first priority was at least look good. And also in the back of my mind, maybe do a competition like men's physique or something.
Mhm.
And that was my mindset. But during this time, again, I'm broke as hell. So I found a gym. Do you guys have 24-hour gyms over there?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, so I found a 24-hour gym, maybe 20, 30 minutes away from my house. And I figured out, I first signed up, I did the free week pass, 1 week free where you test it out. And I figured out at a certain time there will be there will be a time frame where they will switch out front desk people.
Mhm.
And I waited till the morning person will leave for the night person. And there will
Mhm.
be a gap of like 10 minutes where nobody will be there. So
Mhm.
during that time, I was sneaking to the gym.
Really? It's a bit of an art next story there.
Yeah, and I didn't pay a gym membership for how long? For like 3 or 4 months.
Mhm.
Because as the semester was over, like I would finish the spring semester, and then by the fall, that's in September. So I'll go from May and September without a gym. So I
Mhm.
had to figure it out. So I did that. I snuck into the gym, and that's where I met my first set of like real meatheads,
Mhm.
juiced up, bro science.
Mhm.
And this is where again, you start, you probably went through the same thing when you first get in the gym. You hear the random things like if you do legs, it increase your testosterone.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
if you do cardio on an empty stomach, it gets you shredded. So I started hearing these things, and you start absorbing it, you start taking the tips. But then during that time, I don't know what was it in my nature. I just started doing my own research.
Mhm.
I was like, is it true what these guys are saying? Like they look good, they have good physiques. I really didn't really know about steroids, but I knew they were taking like of it. Like you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
of
on the
course.
source. Yeah, so but I didn't really know like in the actual compounds or how they're doing their stacks or whatever. And I didn't really care because during that time I was just like, that's on another level. That wasn't even nowhere near where I could barely afford the gym membership. There was no way I'm affording steroids. So I wasn't even thinking about it. So during that time, I just started doing my own research, and I think that's what started my acceleration towards really improving my knowledge with it when it comes to fitness. Because if here, I don't know about over there, when you get a training certification, is very baseline,
Yeah,
very,
it's same as here.
very baseline. Is some biomechanics, some nutrition, some chemistry, very little, but it's very baseline.
They've tried
So
to, they've actually, sorry to cut you off there. They've tried to make them hard and pure.
yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
even think it's about hard. I think it's about the information quality and what
Oh,
you
it's
can
terrible.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
a lot of times the hard certifications,
mm.
they'll throw a bunch of knowledge at you, but you're not using any of the shit
Yeah.
when you
No,
train
agreed.
people, you coach people.
Yeah.
So once I got it, once I started digging deep into the knowledge, I realized, oh, a lot of the stuff the bros are saying aren't true. So that's when I discovered a lot of the natural bodybuilders. Um, Jesus, 3DMJ. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, they were the natural guys, and I went deep in because they went a science-based approach.
Yeah.
This is 2013, 4,
Yeah, I was
2012.
going to
This is
ask how long ago we were talking about. Yeah.
yeah, this is like when this is the thing. People probably gonna hear this and they're like you have all this information now, but back then we didn't have much.
No, we
YouTube was
didn't.
just starting,
It's funny
and
because,
then
yeah, I started around 2017 and there was nowhere near as much as there is now.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm going back to 2013. How old are you, by the way?
29.
And I'm 31. So during that time, I'm trying to look. I'm going on bodybuilding.com. I'm doing Ronnie Coleman's workout, Arnold Schwarzenegger's workout programs.
Mm.
And to be honest, they were solid. Like they weren't the groundbreaking stuff we see today on Instagram.
Mm.
But I feel like all the information we're getting now is becoming clutter because at the end of the day, there's no one out here to filter out what's bullshit and what's not. So everyone's getting overwhelmed with so-called fitness knowledge when there's things you can't really apply to not only beginners but to long-term success.
Hmm.
So yeah, so during that time, I remember I discovered the natural dudes. Also discovered John Meadows,
Yeah.
Mountain Dog,
Hmm.
and a lot. And I think about that time frame. I'm like, that information back then was way more solid, and the way it was disseminated, where it was presented, was way easier to access than it is now. Like we have way more information, but if you found it back then, I feel like you learned way more. Like now I see a lot of trainers and coaches that get into the industry. They send me, here's this new guy, here's this new nutritionist, here's this different guy with a different opinion. Oh, here's another guy with a different opinion.
Hmm.
Or like you can find pretty much 10 different coaches and trainers with 10 different approaches to training. So there's now we're at the extreme end where it's overloaded information.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're experiencing the same thing or is it like,
No, we do definitely experience the same thing. And it's a level there's like a level of arrogance in the way that people go about sharing that
oh,
information.
oh my God. Like,
It is. Yeah. I
oh,
said to Isabel yesterday, I said, like kind of going off topic. We'll try not to get down this rabbit hole, but you know
no, go ahead.
the whole carnivore longevity holistic approach.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
But is there one person in that space that exists that doesn't present it in an arrogant, condescending manner?
okay. This is what I tell all my clients. If the person on Instagram or whatever has their diet in their Instagram name, run the fuck away.
That's a good one, actually. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's carnivore MD, if it's vegan gains, if it's natural whatever, if it's biochemical workout expert, if it's whatever, if their whole identity
Mhm.
is based off this one thing, run the fuck away
Yeah.
because at that point it's becoming a religion.
Hmm.
Like I love Coach Cassim.
Yeah. My partner's a big
It-
fan. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, great info. Paul Carter, you
Yeah, of
probably know
course. Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
But I'm so tired of them going back and forth about lat pullover, not executing, not targeting the lats the right way versus Cassim goes back and forth like, oh, pull-ups aren't the most efficient. Like, is this really the things we need to be arguing about on social media?
Yeah. It's
It,
funny because the people that got me into the industry all those years ago, they were nothing like the people of today.
that was my point.
Like
You put it way better.
nothing,
Yeah.
yeah, there was no egos. They were not trying to shoot people down. They were not presenting the information like a cult-like
There
manner.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Yep.
like back to my point with the carnivore thing, no one's ever said, I have never seen someone who endorses or utilizes a carnivore diet, hypothetically, who says, hey, check this out, and here's some data to show you why it could be superior and why I do it. It's always, this is what I do, and you're stupid as fuck if you don't agree. Like it's like, and then it's like, and then when you start to question them, it's very much. I got some good examples. I can't get too specific because I don't want to be attacking anyone. But
Yeah, I
got
no,
some,
I get what
yeah,
you mean, but it's
yeah,
tough because
mm,
I think it's a product of how social media is now.
yeah,
Like you said, when we first got into it, like you got in a little bit after I did.
mm,
I feel like when like you said, we saw information, they presented their studies, especially the natural bodybuilder guys, and they backed it up with facts. And then they said, okay, you do it or don't. I don't give a fuck. But this is the science, and this is my experience implementing in my own training, and this is my experience implementing with my own clients. That's it. But
yeah,
now it's not only you put out the information and then you have to bash the person that disagree with you right away, which
mhm,
is odd. And I don't know if it's an ego thing or it's an Instagram thing. I don't know if it's because you need the things that are controversial get more clicks. So
mhm,
people tend to do that a lot more now. I'm not sure because I'm not in the room with them when they plan out these posts, but
yeah. No, I
it's
don't know. It's funny because even the way I used to learn, I don't know what your thoughts are, man, either, but like the intent that I had at the start of my journey and what I gathered was yours as well from the interactions we've had. I wanted to learn and I wanted to know every side of both sides of the coin. I wanted to
100%. Yep.
basically be as good as I could be. Coaches aren't like that anymore. Yeah, I remember
Man.
do you remember Eugene Teo?
Oh yeah, Eugene.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he was before he went into like the Gambaru like route, he was very just education based.
Hmm.
Like and was really into like his lane. Like it's hard to really explain what it is. But I remember every week he used to do a Q&A on Facebook and
I
he'd
remember I was in there.
yeah, he'd answer 20 questions. And I remember I used to write down all the questions and his answers, and then I used to go and research it further.
Right.
But like
Right.
to think that's what I was doing, and then some of the trainers that I know today that can't even see through a course or they can't even read a study. And it's just like to me back then, that wasn't a chore. That wasn't something that I had to pull myself into doing. That is something that I wanted to do. But people aren't, it's not like that anymore.
But you know why is because they don't have to. You know, that's the unfortunate thing is they don't have to do that stuff because if you can get the following, if you have the nice flashy videos, if you have the nice edited ass shots, not to be misogynistic, whatever, and
Yeah.
you have a good following,
Hmm.
why would you spend time doing research? You
Yeah.
already got the thing is it's all about you got the following. Next step, you got the marketing. Now then you got to do the programming.
Hmm.
So again, we didn't back in 2015, 2017, it was all about I need to get my knowledge up because this is how I get clients.
Hmm.
This is how I build trust within the industry. Again, going back to that period after college when I graduated, after that I pretty much was taking a couple certifications, but I wasn't satisfied. I took the certifications realizing I didn't know shit.
Hmm.
So I started training in full time in 2015, and I continued to search for more knowledge. And the best part about training general population is that you can get Grandma Betty at 9 a.m. and then at 10 a.m. you got the meathead bodybuilder, and
Hmm.
then at 11 a.m. you got the retired uh, mom of three that just wants to get lean, that just wants to tone up her arms. So just that experience for me forced me to diversify my knowledge because then I had to not only focus on physique changes, but now it's like injury prevention. Now it's about long-term health. Now it's more about nutrition for women which is huge for men because we don't think about it that being that different. Nutrition, prenatal nutrition, postnatal nutrition. Like there were so many things by me just being exposed to different types of people that it was a shock to my stupid training certification. It was like, oh, this is useless. This is getting me in the door, but now I have to expand my knowledge further. And what really, the moment I remember to this day that really shocked me was when I had a new client, and they probably do the same thing over there. Is like when you're a trainer in the gym, they give you a prospect client, somebody that is interested in training. So the first session's free, and he came up to me. Oh, he came up to the manager. He said, "Give me the smartest trainer you have." The problem with gyms here is that usually the best trainers are booked.
Yeah.
Booked solid. Like you're not getting the top master trainers, they're booked.
Yeah.
So then my manager looks at me, he's like, oh, this new guy, here you go.
Yeah.
And this guy starts talking to me about muscle insertions because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Insertions, start talking to me about pivot points, start talking to me about inertia and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
So but at the time, I knew that again, I got the certification. I know about programming, I know about basic exercise execution stuff, basic nutrition. But from there, I didn't fake it. I didn't say, oh yeah, I know what you, I was like, okay. I wrote down the things he was saying. I was like, I'll get back to you on that. And I think that's something a lot of people aren't willing to do to this day, is willing when they
Yeah.
don't know something. And I feel like at that point, when I was, I guess, a year into training, that really accelerated my, I mean, it forced me into a position where I have to not only look for more certifications, but look for different seminars, spend more time. I signed up to a journal of medicine where I get updated exercise science studies.
Yeah.
So I'm always getting emails. Again, I'm not always reading them, but I have them there.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly getting updated. So to the point where if I need to not only prove something that a client can ask me something and then I'll give them an answer and then just move on. But I'd rather send them the study, send them the benefits of creatine, send them the benefits of fish oil, especially for somebody that's over 40 years old. Because again, these are creatine and fish oil. It might sound basic to like fitness people, bodybuilders, strength athletes, but the average person, they're scared of those things. The creatine, they still, to this day, I still get clients where they believe creatine is bad for their kidneys.
I do as well. Yeah.
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 I still have clients that that new clients that believe that protein is bad for their kidneys.
Yeah.
So there's this basic level of information that we have to be able to not only simplify, but just get it out to the masses. That's why it pisses me off when you have these big fitness accounts arguing about carnivore versus vegan and lat pull downs versus single arm pull downs, when we just need to get more people working out and eating at a healthy and optimal level. We need to do that as coaches.
Yeah.
And then, but we get obsessed with our niche populations. We get obsessed with these little pockets of like expertise, you call it, just to seem like you're smarter than everyone else. And right now I'm not in that position. I just want to help as many people as possible. So that's why each post that I make, even though it's rare and I suck at it, I try to make it like to help a wide range of people.
It's funny because I have no interest in showing to them that I'm smarter than anyone else either.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny.
Even with like I guess Instagram is the new portfolio now. So you have to have, you can't just be in your underwear on your couch. You have to show some professionalism and expertise. But I feel like your posts with especially the way you do your videos, which are very straightforward, they're short, that is enough to where we can absorb the information. And then if we utilize it, we can always come back to you. It's not divisive, it's not argumentative, it's not like bashing another person. It's just here's the information, take it or leave it. But if you come to my page, there's more of this type of information. And again, that's why your page and how you do your coaching is what I gravitated towards like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I do remember as well, even when I had the content all those years ago, I used to put a lot of effort into it. It's funny with the study thing as well, because I'm assuming that you've had moments throughout throughout your career. I don't know about you, but I have moments where I realize, shit, there's a shortfall in knowledge here, or there's a shortfall in knowledge there. And then it's those weeks where you really like try to double down and you're like, all
Yeah,
right, because we try, like, for example, we try to make like the education part of the business model, as in, like, just in the same way that I need to do my check-ins today, or I need to do my accounting today, like I have to do education.
right.
I used to have folders on the computer where I drag in all the studies as well, similar to you. Well, you had the
Okay.
database, but I'm not too sure if I've actually paid for studies. One of the things I
I mean,
used
there's a lot of free stuff out there
yeah,
anyway.
there was, but I do remember there was one thing I did used to do was when I'd have courses, I'd actually dive into the references that they'd provide.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's a nice way of going about it. So you know, I'm assuming you know the J3U.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you,
Great.
that's
Yeah.
John Hewitt?
Yeah.
Jewett?
Great course, especially for like entry level enhanced coaches. But where I found the most value in that course was in the references. Was to
Okay.
think like if you're trying to look up, let's just keep it simple, growth hormone and lipolysis, yeah.
Right.
To actually try and find studies on that yourself, that's a job in itself. But they've given me those studies, and then all I have to do is actually interpret them.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
but like,
probably the
yeah,
only person, you're one of five people in that taking that course that actually is doing that.
yeah, because
Again, the course is
no
great.
one would do that.
Course
Yeah.
is great, but
Mhm.
how, again, are you just absorbing it to then repeat it to somebody else without actually knowing the information?
And that's what everyone.
That's where these courses become tough. It's like, again, like how long was the course that one?
Uh, it's a self-paced, so I'm not too sure.
Okay, this
Now
is
I
like the
sort of just go
modules. You
over
you
it and
you do a
yeah, it's the
module,
modules.
and
Yeah, yeah, but just
again,
simple. Yeah,
it's great to have the information out there, but a lot of times you see people say, "Oh, I took this course, whatever. I did the 12 modules, and now I'm a coach. Here's my expertise." And now they're part of another sect of like repeating the same information without actually teaching it to people.
yeah. Let
So
Let me ask you a question though. Do you feel like, because we have a lot of people that just relay the information when they don't really
yeah,
understand, right? Do you see this industry being culled out at any point?
called out by who?
Sorry, no, culled out as
Like,
in, do you think there will come a day where all these guys who are essentially faking it
mhm.
will just fall away?
It's hard because there's so much money in how
I
the
agree.
marketing it is now. Like
Mm-hmm.
before, like I said, you really needed to have a passion for it in
Mm-hmm.
order for you to force yourself to keep going. Like even when like even with one-on-one and in-person training, a lot of people fall off because how hard it is. Like
Yeah.
when I first started training people, I would have a client at 7 a.m. and
Mm-hmm.
might not have anyone till 1, 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time, I can either work out myself or take a nap, go back home. But you're not seeing a lot of money during that time frame. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a passion to keep going. But a lot of people, especially now with the way the algorithm is, you can generate good income fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about it. All you need is if you got five, even like on the lower end, let's say on the lower end you have 5,000 followers, and then you have 100 people buy your program or your coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how much you charge, that can be a decent living.
Yeah.
So now look at the levels up and above where let's say you have someone that just started has been coaching for a year. They got again nice profile, nice videos. They can stay in the industry for 3, 4, 5 years, make a solid income, and then it's up to them if they want to stay or go.
Mm-hmm.
COVID forced people out, but I don't know what's the next thing that's gonna not clean up, but it's gonna force people to actually stay with it, get better, or they'll just disappear.
Yeah, because obviously no regulations coming anytime soon either.
No,
Yeah,
there's not.
no, it would be nice. It would be nice to see a clean out at this point, as horrible as that sounds. But
Yeah.
yeah, especially
How
because
do you think because I'm super not pessimistic. I'm not really into the whole fitness and coaching scene on Instagram. Like it's one of the worst things.
yeah,
It pisses me off. How do
me
you feel overall about the outlook and how with your niche of clients and things like that? Is it positive, negative?
I think it's overinflated, but the only real risk that I see, not the only real risk, I'll try to give you. So it's overinflated with crap coaches. And obviously, there's either, I find with coaching, you're either, at least here, let's just talk, I'm just going to talk for Australia. You're either at the
Yeah.
top, making like a very good living, or you're at the bottom and you're struggling to pull it all together. And obviously, you pair that with a lot of people in the industry like very superficial, very like try to live a very lavish lifestyle, potentially recreational drugs, things like that too. So a lot of people, even if they
Right.
are at that top, they do burn through it, and that will force them to the bottom. Um, I think if AI was to come through as it's supposed to, a lot of the people that aren't providing that substance will be out of work. And I think
Mm.
that's probably the
Where
biggest.
specifically with AI?
Well, I just feel like with the rate that it's going, there will be a way that everything can be automated eventually to a point where an algorithm can basically work out what your week to week would look like.
Right.
And I feel like at that point, the only ones who are going to survive are the ones that provide something which AI cannot. And that's a level of interaction and commitment and care to the client. And a lot
Right. That's it. That's
yeah,
the main difference.
when they try to scale, like I hear coaches who, again, just business models here I'm talking for. Not there's two different because I actually have my coach lives in Texas, but like a lot of coaches, communication is poor, like very poor. Programming is very basic. Feedback for check-ins is like minute-long audios and stuff like that, and like that is not hard to replace. And that's where I can see a big chunk of people because I feel like no matter what would happen, we would survive just because we've got all the everything in place as we need to. But I still treat this as if there's a 5 year timeline on it or 10,
Mm.
because you never
Okay.
know. And the way things are going, things can move fast in 5 years. Look at us in 5 years.
Yeah,
Look,
completely different. I
yeah,
can't
not,
even.
not us
Yeah.
personally, just look how much has changed around us. But there's also a big kick up in the business mentoring side of things at the moment.
Hmm.
I think that's made things worse because people think that they can do better and better. But like, I'm not sure how much you know about business mentoring too. Obviously, we spoke about this a little bit before, but you can charge extravagant amounts because, like, let's say I say I'm going to charge you $500 a week, but you're going to make seven. You're going to say, well, okay, I can afford that then. And the thing
Right.
is, I even know of cases of coaches inflating their numbers deliberately to make it look like they're doing better to attract clients.
Oh my God.
There's got to come a day where this all look. Who knows? It might not come, and it might not come crumbling down. But like, it has to come a day where things level back out.
Man,
Big
that
bubble.
made me
Yeah,
that reminded me of something that my other biggest issue with because again, we have very knowledgeable coaches out there.
yeah,
Noticing now is those knowledgeable coaches are going away from training people and
yeah.
now they're running those I guess business coaching or training coaching programs.
And man, I said to you already, I have a business mentor, but I've heard some. He's the only good business mentor I've ever heard of.
My
Like
God.
all the other people that go to others that I know, they just have such a bad time, bad experience.
But it's also out of desperation because when you get someone that's new to coaching, again,
Mhm.
there's not a course in university where you can be like, okay, if you're a personal trainer, this is how you can build your business. There's not a regular personal training for dummies where you learn how to actually run your own business and expand where you can actually make a decent living. So a lot of times they get people out of desperation where
Mhm.
they have to like, okay, I see this guy living a great lifestyle. Now if I buy his course, I'm gonna make the six figures or whatever.
Mhm.
And a lot of that's what I'm seeing a lot more of where it's not even bad coaches. It's
Mhm.
people that have been successful in the fitness industry, but now they got a new niche where they're going away from actually either training clients or training general population. Now they're just coaching other trainers,
It's
which
fun.
is,
Yeah, I'd never want to step away from coaching clients. That's the difference, I think.
yeah, me
We're the
neither.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no,
I
if
just
you,
see how important it is
yeah,
and how it's not going to go even with AI. So I had a client ask me if I was scared of. I remember, I think this was 2019, right before the pandemic. Have you heard of the mirror?
no, but go on.
The mirror was a just imagine a mirror against the wall,
Mm,
and it will be like an AI program where it would like record your body movements and
mm,
telling you if you're doing exercises with good form. And
mm,
this was back in 2019. There's a bunch of different versions of that thing now. But I remember a client asked me, he's like, "Oh, are you scared? They're gonna replace personal trainers." And I was like, "Hell no." You
mm.
know why? Because that already exists on your phone. That
Yeah.
already exists on YouTube. That already exists in so many different forms. But what people value is that one-to-one care, empathy, compassion,
Mm,
uh, actually being held liable, actually being pushed certain moments. People
mm.
crave that, especially after COVID. That was something people realized they really need. You can't just be home and be in the box all day.
But the thing is with those comments that those traits that you just mentioned, right? We deliver that, right?
Hmm.
98% of the people in the industry don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I
Right.
think jeopardy of the industry is, because like I said, if your coach isn't giving you any of that, there's no reason why you can't go pay a robot a tenth of the price and get be told what to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. When you think about
It's
it,
true. I mean, have you been coaching in person at all, or is it just online?
I haven't coached in person for about a year, but I am quite interactive with my clients. So a lot of them still visit and stuff like that.
Got it. And then when you go to gyms, I mean, when you're working on yourself, do you see one-on-one training where the person's attentive, the person's there fixing their form, or is it just a half-ass?
Usually half-ass, yeah.
Has
Yeah.
it's crazy. It hasn't changed. It's
Yeah.
gotten worse. But the thing is, like right now, where I train clients is all private. So
Mm,
it's either a private gym or or it's a situation where only people with trainers can work out there. And sometimes and this is not, again, Manhattan's expensive. Like right now, I'm charging anywhere from 150 to 180 an hour for a session. There's people charging people $200 up a session.
So
And I see,
you're charging 150 US an hour there.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. And then, but there again, I like at a higher end for when I started. Again, I started charging people $50 an hour. At Crunched, which is one of the big box gyms, I was
And
getting
crunch
maybe,
too. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, around 30 to $50 an hour. But once I went independent and once I started taking more certifications, I could justify increasing my prices. But I felt like a fucking thief if I charge people more without providing them value.
Yeah.
Like something really simple, which I don't see, is a lot of trainers just dress like shit.
Mm,
Like they're being like dirty sweatpants, a tank top,
mm.
like I don't know, Jordans or whatever, and they'll be on their phone during the session.
Yeah, I see that way too often.
But the client is also getting charged. I don't even know how much, 180 plus
Yeah.
to do an hour to do personal training. So again, if those people realize like, why am I paying this when I could just get a robot? Then you're right. Then that's when the industry might take a real hit. The
Mhm.
scariest part about that is that that's when we might see more gyms closing down.
Mhm.
Because before the pandemic, there was way more private gyms where I could train clients at. Now there's uh, maybe by half, more than half, those gyms closed down. So
Mhm.
now I just have a few options here and there. Like I still try to keep my options flexible, but it's way less than before. So now
Mhm.
that you mentioned that, I think again, depending on what happens the next few years, that a lot of people might go away from that one-on-one mediocre training and just
Mhm.
get a fucking robot.
Yeah. Mhm. Um, yeah, and like to be honest, if you're sort of in a position where you are delivering a service which can be replaced by a robot, you kind of deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But it's
we're even saying,
man,
just like you were saying previously with the people moving into business mentoring, I think that just comes down to just a financial gain. And with like people sort of moving, like people say to me, oh, like what, like I have friends that sort of say, why don't you focus on the business unless I'm coaching the clients? It's kind of what you do it for, eh?
right,
Like I coach,
right.
I do this because I enjoy coaching the clients. Like I love coaching competitors. Like that's my favorite. You know what I mean? That gives me
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah. If I had the
But
most,
that's the thing, like
yeah.
long term, like you can always expand to different things. But if
Mhm.
your passion is what is the well, you got into the business for a reason. But if you still have that passion to keep moving forward,
Mhm.
I think there's gonna be ups and there's gonna be shitty periods. Like let's be real.
Yeah,
But
always.
that passion will get you through those hard times. Like there was a time where I got fired from Crunch,
Mhm.
and I had this was in 2000 like 2017, 18 around there. Like I
Mhm.
was just getting my groove, I was getting busy, and then I got fired because I was training people outside because I wanted to make more money and the gym was charging 125, $150 a session. They will only give us maybe 40, 50
Yeah.
depending on whatever package. And I was training people outside, then I got fired. And in one moment, I went from having 30, 40 clients, I had one.
Yeah.
I had one client. And then from there, I thought, oh, everyone's gonna leave with me because I'm so amazing.
Mhm.
But what the gym did, they started offering way cheaper prices to the clients.
Yeah.
So I would have my set price, and then the gym would go back to clients like, okay, we'll just give you $70 a session.
Mhm.
And then they would stay and then they work out with another trainer. And some people ended up coming with me, but it
Mhm.
took time because they had to like run through their package. But
Yeah.
during that time, I had maybe 2, 3 clients.
Mhm.
And again, that was the lowest of lows.
Mhm.
But my passion would help me stick through that time period because if this was just something to get money or this was just a bullshit hobby, or if I didn't care about my clients, that would have been the moment I would have got out,
Yeah.
which is what happened with most people the last few years. So during that time, it was more about what can I do to improve my knowledge so that way I can get a new client base.
Mhm.
So actually, now that I think about it, during that time, that's when I got away from bodybuilding
Mhm.
because that I also realized bodybuilding clients are broke as hell.
That they are.
They they are the ones that struggle the most financially.
Mhm.
So that's when I realized,
Yeah.
okay, I got to get away from a bodybuilding clientele
Mhm.
and lean towards people that are either getting out of physical therapy, people that are just again injury prevention, again
Mhm.
real basic stuff, but
Yeah.
enough to where I can like modify my niche with my clientele. So
Mhm.
that's when I did my little email thread because I had a email list of
Mhm.
maybe 100 people. I had the little tag. It's called performance therapy. So it's not physical therapy. We're not just gonna lie on the floor and do clamshells all day.
Yeah.
My goal is to get you moving, not walking out of the gym, be able to run out the gym, being able to jump, being able to pick things up and throw them off. Like there's things again from a day-to-day what they call functional, I guess.
Mhm.
From that level that people need. People need to feel
Mhm.
strong. People need to feel confident in movement. And during that time, again, it was a forced change, but that really forced me to go to the next, not niche, but my next level of clientele was improve my knowledge so that way I can attract that base of clientele, but also stick with the passion. If I'm passionate in this, it's
Mhm.
gonna work out. It fucking sucked during those that I guess it was a whole year where I was had to build my clientele back up. But I was able to do it, and now 4 years later, 5 years later, now I'm way more successful than I ever thought I would be.
Mhm.
But I still see that next level. So I see
Mhm.
how you're doing how you're doing social media, how you're doing YouTube, how you're doing podcasting. That's the next level for me.
Mhm.
But that'll take another. I don't know if I'll be forced into it, but I need to allocate some time and some patience
Yeah.
and some more dedication towards that because I feel like the way you're doing the content now, is very beneficial in terms of disseminating the information to people.
Yeah, it is a little bit of work to keep all the systems going between podcasts and YouTube and stuff like that. But we try
Yeah.
to keep systems in place which force us to do it. So
Right.
like just for even for your reference and just like even for anyone listening to, like we have podcasts I think mapped out till June now. But the reason we've done that so far ahead is because if we do have periods where we don't want to do them anymore,
Mm-hmm.
like we have enough time that we can sit there on the buffer. Because I'm not sure what you were like when you were doing podcasts, for example. If you do a heap of them in a row, you do get sick of doing them. Do you know what I
But it
mean?
was also just, yeah, just scheduling too. Like I did it with
Yeah.
one of my other coach friends, and
Mhm.
we'll do it every Sunday or every Saturday.
Yeah.
Then one weekend something will happen. Another weekend I'll get some clients book. Another
That's
weekend,
right. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, and then that'll get to the point where we miss a month, then we miss 2 months, to
Yeah.
the
So
point we
that's,
haven't done
yeah.
it in maybe a year. So
Yeah.
it's hard, but you're right. If you stack them up, you said until June, you have your
Well, yeah, I think, yeah, till June. Because yeah, like I said, I think in December I did like 5 in 2 weeks. And at
okay.
the end of those 2 weeks, I was like, fuck, I don't want to do one for ages now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because,
Right.
yeah,
Again, it's not hard, but it's time consuming, and like we've been going on for I think an hour now,
I
close to
reckon
an hour.
we could do 2 hours. Yeah. I was going to say, well,
Yeah,
we'll keep going, but I reckon I reckon we just do another one.
right. I think is
Yeah.
we can go in, especially when it comes to going in on specific things with fitness and nutrition. You can go 2 3 hours on the podcast and then realize, holy shit, this took up a chunk of my day.
Mm,
So it's like you said, it's more about that planning and execution. But when you're doing, I guess, the long-term vision,
mm,
how do you see yourself? Because you're combating the shitty coaches. Like you're a
mm.
good coach. You're in this industry that's overinflated, that's oversaturated. How do you see yourself staying not only motivated, but trying to go to that next level?
It's funny. I kind of don't, for myself, I don't actually acknowledge the noise around me. Like, I don't really care what the next person is doing. The only
Yeah,
time I care what the next person is doing is let's say it's you or another couple, potentially some of the other guys I have on the podcast. And I care what people like yourself are doing because I know if you're doing something, hypothetically, there's probably a good reason. So it's something that I
right.
can learn from. So in regards to drive, man, I feel like for me, the vision's there. The vision's clear enough that I don't need to get motivated every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Me, it's just
easy.
very natural, but I've always been a good worker, which
Okay.
is very easy. Like even before I started doing this and I was just working part-time jobs, I always worked like 3 jobs at a time. So to have to put in on because people often ask me, like, how do you get in on a Sunday and work? Because I work mostly 7 days or 6.5. Um, and I say, honestly, I don't even flinch. The stuff that's hard is
Yeah.
like we are just saying is keeping up with the content. And like another one for the content too, for example, like we just do all of our content on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So
Smart.
what we're doing now, we've got 3 hours blocked out every Wednesday because we're a little bit unorganized about it previously. We just try to record as much as we can. And if we know, so for example, we're traveling in the middle of the year. We're going to Europe, all of us actually, coincidentally.
Nice.
But what we're going to do through that is bank all the content in the weeks that lead up. So then when we're there, we have nothing to do. But I think that's the easiest way to go about upkeeping like the branding and the growth and stuff like that. And we obviously like, for example, if we do like value reels, which is like reels where we talk about topics and things like that,
Right.
we try to just research them beforehand. But like that ties in with like education. So like it's an opportunity to educate ourselves and we're just popping into a reel, hypothetically. Sometimes we're doing more off the cuff, but that would be simpler topics.
That's true because at that point, it's good to not only refresh when it comes to the knowledge base of either nutrition or exercise, but being able to execute it in a way where somebody understands it in a simple, not only simple but concise level where you could
Mhm.
put it in a minute video. I feel like that's a talent within itself. My
Yeah.
hardest thing is getting to the point where what information needs to be out there,
Mhm.
and how can I put it in a way where it's not getting overcomplicated or also I'm not oversimplifying it where I'm trying to make something way easier than it seems. Especially when it comes to nutrition, there's not a one size fits all approach for most people.
Mhm.
So when I try to make nutrition based content, again, it's trying to hit as many people as possible. So that takes time. And that's where I'm the same way. I work 7 days a week.
Mhm.
So anytime I will make a post, it will be like a Tuesday afternoon or something when I have some free time. I'll be like, okay, let's look at calorie deficit. Let me see what people are confused about when it comes to calorie deficit. Let me try to simplify it like that. But my problem is I become so obsessed with the information that my notes on the post become like 10 pages long.
You know
Like I get
what?
a bunch of references. I get I get a
Mhm.
yeah, you go ahead.
No, it's funny. No, it's funny you say that though. Like it's a good thing, but because I had this conversation the other week with the staff, like you can try to simplify topics, and
Right.
people like, for example, I'd make reels and be like, oh, no one's going to watch that through, but I say to them, the ones that matter will. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
example, like very so a lot of coaches will be like very algorithm heavy, for example. But the reality is, for someone to, the algorithm helps to get someone to follow you. But if you want someone to engage and potentially want to work with you, you just need to provide like value. So I prefer my page to be, I might not get the reach on my page, for example, that like my brother's does, because my brother just keeps his content a lot simpler. That's kind of the
Hmm.
demographic. That's just related to demographic. But at the same time, someone who wants to work with me is going to appreciate the depth. So someone that wants to work with you is going to appreciate the fact that you've got all these references and you've got your caption continued in comments and it's a bit more of an intricate topic. And then they're going to sign up. And
Right.
realistically, what I believe that's what's more important.
At the end of the day, it's how many clients you can get, well, how many clients you can transfer over from your followers. Like
Mm.
again, that's the goal. Like it's
Yeah.
not just about likes. Like I remember I had this I guess you could call it Instagram model. One of my clients referred her to me, and then I sent her my prices, and she goes, "Oh, I thought that I can just repost you and you can train me for free." I was like, "Okay, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
not
was saying.
doing this.
Yeah.
That's insane."
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's not the game. Like
Yeah.
likes and stuff don't pay the bills. So that's where a lot of times I kind of forget that. Like, okay, if I make a post, I can get a future client from it.
Yeah.
But getting that mindset where just getting the information out there, that should be step one. Get the information out there. Again, whoever you're right, whoever's going to appreciate it is going to appreciate it and
Yeah.
probably stick with me long term. Even if they don't do training, they'll just follow along and at least get some information from my page.
Well, I've had people that have followed me for years and then reach out, like whether that
Yeah.
be as a client or as like a professional relationship like this or something like that.
Right.
And like if you don't sort of upkeep that kind of standard, like that's not going to happen. Because I'm not sure about you, but I generally go through all my following and unfollow whatever's not of value to me. Yeah, the only people I
Yeah.
follow are like people, my
Yeah.
networks, things that are of value, and clients/friends.
Yeah, my following has changed dramatically from when we last talked in 2019. I don't know, how heavy are you in bodybuilding right now? Like the whole industry and
Uh,
stuff. Like the
heavy enough.
professional side competing.
Yeah, heavy enough. Why do you ask?
Um I think there's I don't know if it's like a low, but I feel like the enthusiasm for bodybuilding is just it's not there, especially when it comes to the big competitions like the
Mhm.
Olympia, New York Pro. Because I feel like now it's there's not as important anymore. Because I feel like before you had to at least get some type of recognition within the industry before
Mm,
becoming a coach or before becoming a IFBB pro. I don't
mm.
know. Is it still like something people really strive to do over there?
It is definitely, if anything, has potentially become more popular in my time, but it's hard for me to say that definitively because I've gotten more into the space in the past 2 years. So
Okay,
it would have just been that I wasn't in the loop with it prior to that.
that's true.
Um,
Okay,
the only thing with here in Australia, we're very much in a bubble with it. So people don't acknowledge. So for example, people are turning pro here and they're not even competing in pro shows. And when they do, they come to the US and they get slaughtered. Like
mm,
our standards definitely like that little bit lower for the most part. The
So,
people
oh, so they just, that's what I remember happening a few years ago. They were handing out pro cards like they were candy.
yeah, they
But
don't.
this was happening.
Yeah, nah. Here they're pretty firm on the pro cards. We only have like two a year for each category.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult to get them here. But no, like yeah, it's hard to say whether it's more popular. Natural bodybuilding is growing very quickly.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
think
because I
that's
remember
yeah, it's a bit more of a
when, especially when I competed in natural bodybuilding, it
Mhm.
was embarrassing. It was like in a high school auditorium, couple people, but it wasn't.
Mm.
It was something where like you knew it was on the dying end
Yeah.
because when you had men's physique and you had classic physique and all that, and the enhanced side that was getting more popular. But I just noticed the people now getting into bodybuilding, especially the like the TikTok bodybuilding. Like you heard of Sam
Yeah,
Sulek?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's getting people into working out, but I
Mhm.
feel like more people are just jumping into the enhanced side, like very young. Like
Yeah.
I'm hearing kids
Mhm.
18, 19, 20 years old already talking about stacks in the gym. And that was something I
Mhm.
never came across when I started working out.
It's funny because I said the natural bodybuilding is growing, but it's mostly in females.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly in
Yeah.
females. But no,
Okay.
because here we have so obviously there's IFBB, which is always going to be IFBB, but they're still considering that there's only two shows a year, now three,
Hmm.
one for each state. Well, one for five of the states. I think five. There's that, but then the other like enhanced shows is like PCA, which is dead, and the others aren't even worth mentioning. Um,
That's what makes me seem that it overall
yeah,
that bodybuilding might be on the I don't know if it's not dying necessarily, but it's on the lower end where
yeah,
again people only strive for a certain number of shows or there's just not that I don't know. Because I remember even when I would attend shows, not even like the big national shows, it'd just be some local shows in New York, upstate New York, it will be packed. Men's physique will be 100 dudes.
Mhm.
Open will be another 100 dudes. Women's bikini 100. It was like massive shows, and everyone's
Yeah.
striving for that one or two pro card.
There's still massive shows. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Just telling my consultation, unfortunately, that I'll be late.
Okay.
No, no. Yeah, look, there still is that, but admittedly, the only categories which really take off there are the bikini. The bikini, there's still six, seven, eight categories for.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
rest sort of sit a little bit more. Yeah, it's hard to say because like I said to you, because even in saying that, like how did you guys go about running shows through COVID? Did they happen?
No, they just they shut them down. There was
Yeah.
some like I know there was some Zoom, but for the most part, those shows are expensive to run, man, and they're
Yeah.
expensive to even like I remember even Men's Physique Natural, the two times I did it, I think I to register was like 300, $500 in that
Oh,
range.
they are expensive. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no,
But
but
now that I think it makes sense that now the cycle is leaning more towards women because
yeah.
when I was getting into it, again, men's physique was just popping off. So a
Mhm.
lot of the dudes, all you needed to get shredded
Mhm.
and get a nice little pose down, and you could go into men's physique.
Mhm.
But now with what is it called? Wellness? Is
Well,
wellness that's
yeah.
yeah, wellness. Now a lot of women where they don't have to get super lean, they could do wellness and they could compete.
Mhm.
Where I'm having trouble is I don't know if you're seeing this as well, is a
Mhm.
lot of especially the coaches I follow, they'll post their client, which is their women, and I'll see their before and after, and
Mhm.
I'll see the masculine changes in their face.
Yeah, I've heard some horrors lately about that, especially with wellness, because wellness is one of those
But I'm
categories.
seeing it like in the like it's not one or two.
It's a
Like I
lot.
follow these pages and I see, and I'm like, wait a minute, I see the jawline.
It's
Like
probably,
I
yeah, realistically, wellness should be super feminine. But the problem that I
yeah.
think with wellness is, so with bikini, right, you pretty much need to touch on PEDs if you even need to down the androgenic pathway to a point where
Right.
if you're going down the route of viralization, like you've overdone it. With wellness, you almost need to, unless you have it genetically, you need to tread that line and people end up just crossing the line because they don't want to wait. Like they don't want to have to do it over 5 years. They want to get it done in 2, and then they end up crossing that line, and they just start to become very masculine.
Yeah, so yeah, now that I realize it makes a lot more sense. So now the cycle now and the pendulum is swinging towards women
Mhm.
jumping into, again, it might be in the same numbers as men's physique back in the day, but now everyone's going towards wellness. But I'm seeing these coaches, and I think they're running these stacks on these girls, and I can see it. Like
Mhm.
I can see the changes. So I'm wondering if I don't know if it's a coaching thing across the board, or
Mhm.
maybe now that there's more enhanced modules out there, coaches feel more comfortable dishing out these stacks to people. But it just shocks me how there's way more women now just jumping on certain PEDs for a
Mhm.
regular wellness show.
The good thing about you being in the US is a little bit more leniency in getting hormone replacement compared to here.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Here
true.
you cannot get hormone replacement as a female. You can,
Yeah,
it's just terribly done.
but now that I'm thinking, like, how many of these young girls are actually going to a hormone clinic, or are they
Yeah,
just
no,
getting?
none. But at least there's an opportunity to do so because I know like a lot of girls require like testosterone. Here, if you want to get testosterone in small enough quantities for a female, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like it's
Okay.
impossible. You cannot get testosterone in those dosages. I know women that do it and they have to import it. And customs to get stuff like that into this country is like, no. It will
Okay.
happen,
So,
but
yeah.
like your 50% of your packages will get taken. So it's only so long before the person just says, fuck this. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to the extreme. I don't know if it's gonna slow down anytime soon. It's just I'm seeing it younger guys, and I'm seeing it,
Mm.
and like you said, they have it's easier access over here. Again, it's still like people still have to go into some dark alleys to get the full stacks and everything.
Mm.
But I remember one of my friends, he was he just started getting into well, he did a simple, like he did test trend and I think clean or something like that.
Mm.
But again, he had no idea. All he
Mm.
did was walk into some another meathead in the gym,
Mm.
and it was like buying French fries. It was super easy. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what do you need? Okay, let's go." Boom, give him the box, and it was simple as that.
Yeah.
And then I would see him, and I was like, "Are you gonna do any research when it comes to that?" Again, this is back in 2018. He's like, no, it's I trust him. Look at him. He's jacked. Like he told me to do this.
Yeah.
He
I,
told me to do once a week, whatever,
I said
500 milligrams or whatever, trend, whatever.
I said to a
To
client today,
the
I
but
said,
then like a few weeks into the stack, I don't talk to this dude anymore because he started to get really emotional.
mm.
Like I feel like his estrogen was through the roof,
Mm.
and he would throw tantrums, like emotional tantrums during the workout. Like there was one workout where because like I'm not a big dude, but I'm
Mm.
strong on the stronger end when it
Mm.
comes to a lot of the lifts. So I was doing like military press. And he goes, "Why you want to start with military press? You trying to show off in front of the girls?"
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But then I realized like, oh, this guy is probably taking an excessive amount of whatever, like whatever test trend, and his body isn't
Mm.
like slowly adapting to whatever he's taking. And
Mm.
then like a few weeks later, he says, "Oh, I have a swollen like sore nipples." I was like, okay, yeah,
Mm.
your estrogen is probably through the fucking roof. Because after the 12-week
Yeah.
stack,
Mm.
he didn't get any muscular gains, but he
Mm.
got all the bad side effects. His hair started falling out.
Mm.
He started swollen nipples. And from there, I was like, man, you can't just jump on this shit, even if you trust whatever coach or whatever person you're buying it from. There has to be a real in-depth research because your body chemistry is going to be completely different from somebody else's. So it's real crazy how I don't know if the kids are doing it now or women are doing it now, but I feel like maybe more people are
Yeah.
just getting way more trusting of these coaches where they just jump on these stacks like it's nothing.
Well, I think now with the prevalence of the social media and stuff, there's a little bit more pressure to do it. But I said to one of my clients yesterday, if I had $1 for every time someone told me a drug dealer was a trustworthy guy, I said to him, "You need a new coach." Yeah,
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 at the end of the day, they're drug
yeah,
dealers. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
but the unfortunate part is that, especially when it comes to the competition side, you
Mhm.
can post in your bio, I turned 12 people pro. I got whatever. I got this many clients, and they posted the before and after, so their page looks great.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, how many of their clients did they get there by actually coaching them and learning the nutrition aspect? Or
Mhm.
how many of them did they just jump on the stack right away?
Yeah, no,
Like,
no.
oh, I want to compete in 12 weeks. All right, chicken and rice, and here's your stack.
Chicken and broccoli, no carbs.
Chicken, bro.
Here's an hour of cardio a day. Yeah.
Man,
Mhm.
it's tough, but it's scary. And it's interesting to hear your perspective. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, especially with the next 3 years of not only of social media, but the whole mindset when it comes to fitness. I wonder if it's going to switch back. People just come back to just want it to be lean, or is it going to go back to the extreme end where people
Mm. I
get
don't. I think it will always stay down the route that it is now because it always sort of has been there. I think now because there's a little bit more. So you got to think 10 years ago, right? It was either you were just healthy and fit or you were a meathead bodybuilder. Now
Yeah,
people are realizing that there's this fitness influencer kind of look, like where
right,
they're not quite a bodybuilder look, but they're not like just an athletic look. They're more like a traditional men's physique look. And people
right.
think that you can take PEDs to look like that quite quickly, when the reality is that still takes work. And the
Yeah.
PEDs aren't a quick fix for it. Yeah. But so I think it will just stay, it'll probably continue as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the toughest part is people realizing
Mm,
the people you follow and their journey is going to be completely different than your journey. It's
mm,
not going to be a 12-week journey. It's not going to be an 8-week. It might not even be a 6 month or a year journey.
mm,
This might be a lifetime of chasing, not chasing a physique, but always striving to get better.
mm,
And that's what I think people starting need to realize, that if you really are into it for, I guess, the physique purposes,
mm,
that's going to fade. That's going to be something where you might struggle with not only body dysmorphia, but you
mm,
might struggle with eating disorders. You might struggle with mental health just because you're always striving this certain look.
mm,
And I had a client that I felt really bad for her, but she wanted to get breast augmentation. She wanted to get breast surgery because she felt like she had to strive for the certain look. And I was coaching her for a while, and I didn't think it was my place to say anything, but at the
mm,
same time, I was like, you work so hard to get your body where it is,
mm,
naturally working hard, eating well, trying to get into the gym, but for some reason, like, you're looking for this certain goal that's not achievable. So now you're going to aim to try to
mm.
get surgery. At the end, she backed out because she realized that's not going to make me happier. I have to love my body. I have to love my the progress that I'm making in the gym, and always learn how to appreciate what I'm accomplishing to the day to day. Because sometimes it's not always about building muscle. Sometimes it's just about getting to the fucking gym and working out and feeling good.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
not about trying to be like the Instagram models. It's not about the fancy pictures. There's a lot of workouts where I don't record because it's just like, all right, this is my me time.
Mm,
So I feel like when a lot of people realize that in the long term, they'll get way more not only mental health benefits, but physical benefits from just working out in general. Again, the
cool.
physique stuff is great. It's great to have a goal where it's like, I'm gonna compete, but
Mm,
in the long term, if you don't have the overall sights of constantly improving yourself just for yourself, not for anybody else,
mm,
then you might suffer in the long term.
mm. Yeah. We're gonna have to wrap up there. I reckon we do a
Yeah,
part two.
that was good.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
I'll do is, yeah, well, thank you for jumping on, and
yeah, it was awesome.
we'll organize another time.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
We're still in touch, and then maybe we could talk training. So I'm
Yeah,
interested
I'm
to
thinking
talk
of
about,
something a bit more specific. That would be cool.
yeah, programming, nutrition. Are you competing anytime soon?
Not me, no. My brother and my partner are.
Nice.
12 weeks
Okay.
out. So yeah.
'Cause I know you backed out recently for health
Yeah, that was
issues.
last year. Yeah, it was more health and just well-being. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
it. We'll get into
But
that.
that's the mental
Go on
health
about,
stuff, man. That
go
stuff is
on that.
important.
Go on about
But
that for
that's why I didn't compete in since 2016. That shit is hard, man.
yeah.
It's no joke. You can't just do it for pictures. You have to either be in a good mindset or realize that it's gonna take a toll on you. So it takes some balls to do that. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you
it
did that, man.
was hard
No
work.
rush. You do it later.
I will. All right.
All
Well,
right,
thank
man.
you. I'll speak to you later.
All right, peace.